Good morning, dear students. So, in the previous class, we have discussed regarding the different management styles. Can anyone please tell which are those styles? Management styles. Yes, please. Can anyone speak up?
Autocratic management,
Very good.
consultative management,
Yes.
pursue management, democratic
Persuasive
management,
management. Okay. Yes.
democratic management,
And then,
chaotic management.
very good. Good. Yes, Shashank, I can see your message. It's democratic management. That is also there. Okay. Yes. Thank you for your answers. So, in this class, we'll discuss regarding the Gantt charts and bar charts. Both are like the techniques of project management, and in that again the milestone charts will come. Again in network techniques, you will be having CPM and PERT. Yes, the slides are visible now, right? Slides are visible now.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. So we'll start with the different techniques of project management. I think in the previous sessions we have discussed in brief regarding these techniques, but now we'll study in depth. Okay. So in project management, we'll be having different techniques. So by using these techniques, we can easily work out with all the project management aspects, such as with respect to time, with respect to duration, with respect to resources. So whatever the major part will come in the project management, so easily we can monitor by using these techniques. So in that you can see bar chart, or even we can call it as Gantt chart. And then moving on to the next one, that is milestone chart. And then again you will be having network techniques such as CPM and PERT. Can anyone tell what it mean by CPM? It's critical path method. And what about PERT? Program evaluation review technique. Okay, we'll study one by one now. So bar charts. So this bar charts, initially it is introduced by Henry Gantt. It's around 1900 AD. So here, what do you mean by AD? Yes, please. A simple question. Yes, it's audible, right? I need to check my connections. Yes, right. Okay, I will know later. So AD is nothing but this is anno domino, right? So initially this bar charts that is introduced by this Henry Gantt. So in this bar chart, it's consisting of two coordinates such as x-axis and y-axis. So here one representing the jobs or activities, so that one we can show either in y-axis or x-axis, but depends upon the convenient. We will prefer those activities has to be represented in x-axis itself. So you can see in the next slide, right? So here you can see this. So these parts, what you can see, these are the representing the activities like in y-axis, and similarly this x-axis part, it can be representing with respect to duration. Okay, and so here a bar chart consisting of two coordinate axes, one representing the jobs or activities to be performed and other representing the time elapsed. So with respect to that activities, so how much duration it is going to consume, that one we can represent in x-axis, and the similarly the number of activities we can show in y-axis. Okay, and here the each bar represents the one specific job or activities of the project. So here you can see this bar, blue color bar, what you can see. So this blue color bar, right? So this particular bar representing one particular activity, it is having certain start time from here and end time here. Okay. So this length of the bar, here they have given certain name for this. So this length of the bar, which represents the total duration of the activity. Okay. So here in this bar chart, a bar represents a particular activity which will be having certain start time from here and end time, and that length of the bar which indicates the total duration of that activity. Okay. Sorry. And each bar representing one specific job or activities of the project. The beginning and end of each bar time represents the time of start as well as the time of finish of that activity, and the length of each bar represents the time required for the completion of that job or activity. Okay, and similarly you can see here the next activity which is going to start, that is activity second, and similarly activity 3 which is going to start at a certain time and end time. Okay, and here this particular activity which includes, so whatever these activities are there which includes what and all it's required. So what about the start time, what about the end time, and what and all resources this particular activity is required. So each and everything we can be mentioned in this Gantt chart, so that once we glance this particular chart, easily we'll come to know that which activity is going to take how much time and how much quantities of resources. Okay, and similarly we can note down for different types of activities here, right? So like that, depends upon the activities list, you can calculate the total time and the total quantities of resources. And these limitations of bar charts, so it will be having certain limitations, such as it can be used only for small projects, because here you can see when the number of activities are very less, then we can use this. When the number of activities are very less, so that time we can prefer this Gantt chart. But when the number of activities are more, we won't come to know that how many activities are there in a single Gantt chart. So that is one a difficult task, because we can't monitor each and every activities by using this Gantt chart, and it does not show the interdependency between the various activities in the projects. So interdependency in the sense one activity which is going to depend on other activity. So it's, I will tell you how. Now this first activity 1, such as activity 1, so it is going to start at a certain time and which is going to end at a certain time. And now the activity 2, right? So this activity 2 has to start at a certain time and ends at certain time. But now here we can't show this one activity which is going to depend on other activity. For example, so when exactly the second activity has to start, whether it is a dependent on the first activity or whether it is a independent activity. For example, you can take this activity 1 which is going to start at week 1 and ends at week 2. Similarly, you can see here activity 1 in task 2, so this particular activity. So after finishing this first activity, we are going to start this first activity from task 2, right? So now we can give certain marks here, like, so after this activity we are going to start this one. Okay, so like that, here we can't show that I mean in this Gantt chart or bar chart there are no interdependency between the activities. And similarly you can see for other also, this activity 2, right? So start at a certain time, right, and ends at a certain time, right? And here you can see in the task 3 part, in task 3 you can consider activity 3, this one, right? So here After finishing this activity 2 from task 2, this activity 3 is going to start from task 3, right? So after finishing this part, this is going to start. So like that, we can divide the number of activities depends upon the quantity of project or the total project part, and then we can prepare this Gantt chart. Okay, and these are the main disadvantage. There are no interdependency between one activity to the other activities, and the progress of the work in the project, it can be monitored scientifically. So here, when the number of activities are more, which is difficult to maintain, which is difficult to monitor each and every activity in the time part. So delays in the works, it cannot be detected. So where exactly we are lagging with respect to time? So that one we need to find out actually in the project management, but we cannot satisfied by using these bar charts, because when the number of activities are more, and when we don't have the interdependency between from one activity to the other activity, which is very difficult to find out where exactly we are lagging with respect to time. Okay, and it does not indicate the critical activities of the project. So here in Gantt chart, we can't find out which are the critical activities and what about the critical path. So here critical activities and critical path, they are like what? They are going to take the maximum durations in the project part. So that particular path, whatever it starts from one activity to the first activity to the last activity, there will be a certain path, right? So that certain path will be the maximum one. So whatever the maximum durations consumed by that particular path, so that one we can call it as critical path, and whatever the activities will be there in that critical path, they are called it as critical activities. So we'll study that. Okay, we'll study in further part, but here it cannot show those critical path as well as the critical activities, and it gives some idea about the physical progress of the projects, but financial aspects involved are not known. You can identify the start and end part of the activities duration, but with respect to financially, we cannot prefer this particular activities progress. Okay, and this bar chart, it cannot be used as controlling device by the project manager to take any timely action. It's nothing but what? By using this, we cannot control that entire project, so which is specially done by the project manager, right? And at that time, for project manager, which is very difficult to use this bar chart to monitor each and every activities, whatever it will come in the project part. And even though the bar chart is having the several disadvantages, still it can be successfully employed in the case of small projects. So small projects in the sense, when the number of activities are very less, so depends upon the activities, we can call it as the small projects and big projects, right? So here, even though it is having a much disadvantages and limitations compared to the other part, but still it can be a successful technique to use this, to use in the project part. Okay, and where the number of activities are limited, however, when the project becomes complex, it is very difficult to do the scheduling using this method. So when the activities are more, we need to provide a start date and end date, and from start to end, the number of activities will be more, so which is very difficult to find out which activity we need to start and when, because even though we will not be having any interdependency, the connectivity from one activity to the other activity, so which is difficult to monitor. I will give you that particular example by using that diagram. Okay, and moreover, the monitoring of the project, which is becomes very difficult, because from start to end, the number of activities are more, and even though the requirement of resources will be more, that is depends upon the number of activities again. Okay, so that time we need to track each and every activity's requirement. So how many numbers of labors are required, how many numbers of cement bags are required, that comes in material and equipments, machine with respect to duration. So it becomes a difficult task to monitor each and every activities by using this Gantt chart. And moving on to the next technique, that is milestone charts. So milestone chart is a similar part of Gantt chart, but it is a modification over the original bar chart. So here milestones are the key events of main activity represented by a bar. So here also you can see this length of the bar, this particular length of the bar which represents the duration of that activity. And here these milestones are the key events of a main activity that represented by a bar. So main activity, that how exactly we can prefer the start time and end time. And here whatever this symbol you can see, so this is a milestone part of this first activity, right? And whether this one again we can prefer with respect to different colors, that is how much weightage we can prefer with respect to time durations. Whether we it is a critical path means we need to highlight this one with a dark color, and here you can see one more at the bottom part, right? So here it is with a much weightage with respect to time considerations. And here there are specific points in time which mark the completion of the certain portions of the main activities. So for every part of this activities list, certain points will be there here, right? So that point representing a particular milestone. Milestone in the sense completion of one particular activity. So here we can prefer that part by using the different points. And the next one, these points are those which can be easily identified over the main bar. Here the number of activities are divided by the task. So that entire task durations have been preferred. So within that we need to minimize, we need to monitor these sub activities. For example, one main activities will be there, and in that again sub activities have been divided. So here you can give the start date and end date for the one main activities, and that is one like milestone, right? And similarly the other activities have been preferred just below that main activities, and that time that start date and end time of one main activities directly it can be shown in this milestone by using the different points. And it is seen that when a particular activity represented by a bar on a bar chart is very long, when the number of activities are more, that time we need to divide the activities list, and we need to divide that one from main activity to the sub activities. And here the activity is broken or subdivided into a number of sub activities, each one of which can be easily recognized during the progress of the project. So once if you refer that main activity part, so easily that sub activities can be shown just below that, so that you can monitor only that main activity there, right? So one particular activity, main activity, can be monitored by using this milestone, because there we can avoid that other main activities and other main sub activities from the chart. Okay, so here you can concentrate only on one activity, so that it is much useful compared to the bar chart. And the beginning and end of these subdivided activities or tasks are performed as milestones. So whatever we have divided one activity, one main activity into the different sub activities, so from first to last sub activities time duration can be noted as milestone, right? And here you can see this, the different tasks have been given, right? And for a particular time period, here we can show the particular points, and again we can continue with the same part of the completion. And here the limitations of the milestone chart. Though the controlling can be better achieved with the help of milestone chart, because here we have divided the main activity into the sub activities, so that easily we can monitor. And even though if we have achieved that particular process, still it possesses the same deficiency as the bar chart. That is, when the number of main activities are more, again it's a difficult task. because here also we can't see that any interdependency between one activity to the other activity. I mean, one activity which is dependent on the other activity. So that part also we cannot show by using this milestone chart, and that is also one main limitation part. And within an activity, the relationship between two specific milestones is revealed by the milestone chart, but the relationship between and among the milestone contained in different activities, which is not indicated. That is, you can consider one main activity and the relationship between the two specific milestones. I mean, one main activity to the other main activity, which is revealed by the milestone chart, and whatever the relationship between from one milestone to the other milestone, that one also we cannot show by using this milestone chart. So again, which will be very difficult to find out the total duration of that project. And moving on to the next part, which is most important for you people, that is critical path method, that is CPM. Okay, so by using this method, we will be solving some of the problems. Okay, and here the method of planning and scheduling, which is based on the network diagram, in which the total project time is determined by a sequence of activities, is known as the critical path method. So which is very simple part, right? So you'll be having certain network diagrams, right? So that network consisting of different activities, right? So that activities will show you in the diagram. Okay, so here you can see this is one network diagram. Now this is one example for network diagram, and this network diagram, it should be having start time and it should be having finish part. Okay, start and finish will be there, and within this start and finish, these activities can be shown. Okay, and here you can see this 0 and 1, so togetherly we can call it as one activity. That is 0 to 1 we can call it as one activity, and 0 to 2 second activity, 0 to 3 third, and then 0 to 4 the next activity. So like that, the other activities have been also given, that is 1 to 8. So you can give the any number for this. These numbers are not specified, just for to follow the order, we have given the numbers for those activities. Okay, and 2 to 5, right? And then 3 to 5, and 4 to 5, sorry, and then 5 to 6, 6 to 7, and 7 to 8. So this is one network diagram. Clear? And so in this network diagram, we need to find out the critical path. Okay, critical path in the sense, in this particular diagram, network diagram, we need to find out which path is going to consider the maximum duration. So we need to take a start activity and finish activity, and we need to check the path now. So here you can see 0 to 1 and 1 to 8. I mean, within the start and end, how many path will come? So within the start and finish, how many different paths will come? For example, you can take 0 to 1 is a one path, and then 1 to 8. So it starts from this point and ends at this point. So this is one path. Which one? 0 and 1 and then 8, right? So this is one path. And then similarly, you can see 0 to 2 and 2 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 7, and 7 to 8. So this is also one path now, right? So you need to note down that path, that is 0 to 2, right? And 2 to 5, and then 5 to 6, and then 6 to 7, and 7 to 8. Okay, this is the next path. Yeah, and like that, you need to note down the next one also. 1 minute. First one is 0, 1, 8. Okay, and this is one path, and this is the second one, and it's visible, right? Whatever I'm writing, you can see those things.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes. Okay, it's fine. And similarly, you can consider the next one. Can anyone tell which is the next path?
0.
Zero.
Zero. Very good.
Sir, slide is not visible.
For others,
0, 3, 5,
0, 3, 5,
6, 7.
6, 7, 8.
7, 8, sir. Last.
Yes, 7, 8. Okay.
Yes.
And fourth one, that is, you
Zero.
can denote here. 1 minute, 1 minute. And this is highlighter. You can see the next path 0 to 3, and 3 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 7, and 7 to 8. This is the third path. And moving on to the next one.
Zero
That
to
is
4.
very good. 0 to 4,
4 to 5 to 6.
4 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 7,
7 to
7
8.
to 8.
So now you need to note down the different paths here. Clear? So there are 4 different paths which can start from one point and ends at one point. Okay. And here you need to calculate the time durations for this. So I will tell you how. So now you need to note down 0 to 1 here. So that is from 0 to 1 here. So what about the time durations? It can be given as 14 here. Clear? Can you see this number, or it's not visible? This particular part.
We can see, sir.
Yes,
Visible.
yes. Thank you. Yes. Or else just I will tell you, you can even note down also from 0 to 1, that activity is noted down as G activity, and then the time durations they have given as 14. Here. And now moving on to the next part, that is 1 to 8. So here 1 to 8, this is 8 and this is 1. So here 1 to 8, this particular activity is noted down as H, and then the time durations they have given as 21. So just add you these two. What about the total number? This is 35, right? So 35, you can consider days in terms of, right? And similarly for 0 to 2 here, 0 to 2 it is 14, and then 2 to 5 it is 10, and 5 to 6 it is 31, and then 6 to 7 which is 7 days, and then 7 to 8 which is 21. You just
80,
add these numbers.
83
How much?
days. 83.
83.
Very good. 83 days. Okay. And moving on to the next part here. 0 to 3. 0 to 3, the third part, that is 14. And then 3 to 5, which is 5 duration, 5 days of duration, and then 5 to 6, which is 31. Yes. Is there any doubt?
78 days, sir. Correct?
Total you are telling, huh?
Sir. Third part.
Third one, okay. 14, 5, 31, 7 plus 21. Total how much it is, Shashank?
78.
78. Okay. And moving on to the next path now. 0 to 4 it is 9 plus 4 to 5, 5, and then 5 to 6, 31. Total how much it is, and then plus 7, 6 to 7 it is 7, and then 7 to 8 which is 21. How much it is?
73.
73, sir.
Yes, Vishwanath, how much? 73.
Yes, sir.
Yes, 73 days. Now, you can see here, it is just one example. Like this, you will be having different network diagrams, and you need to calculate the critical path here. Critical time. Clear? Now, you can see the first path, which is going to take how many days? 35 days, right? And second path, which is going to take 83 days, and third path 78 days, and similarly fourth path, which is taking 73 days. So in this, the maximum durations consumed by one path, which one is that? The second one, right? 0 to 2, 2 to 5, 5 to 6, 7 to 8, which is going to carry 83 days. Correct? That time, we can say it as this one is a critical path. Okay, so this is the critical path in this particular network diagram. Understood now? If you are having any doubts, you can ask others. Okay, so here they have given highlighted this particular path, that is 0 to 2, 2 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 7, and 7 to 8. So this particular path, which is going to consume the maximum duration, that is 83 days. Okay, and whatever the activities will come here, that is 0 to 2, 2 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8. These are the critical activities. So critical activities is nothing but what? We need to concentrate much on these activities, because when we prefer the start date and end date, and within that whatever the activities will come, so that activities have been preferred with the start date and end date, and whatever that maximum durations consumed by that path, no, so whatever the activities will come in that critical path, we need to concentrate much on that, because once that duration has been exceeded, so that it is going to affect the total duration. Understand? That time, so whatever the necessary precautions are there, whatever the availability requirements are there, so each and everything we need to concentrate much on these activities compared to other paths activities, because somehow the first path, which is going to take around 35 days, but the total duration is 83 days. Somehow you can complete this path, that is 0 to 1 and 1 to 8. So because it is going to carry around 35 days, right? So 35 days, but the total duration of this project, which is going to carry around 83 days, that is by the second path. So you will be having certain time durations for first path, third path, and fourth path. But here you cannot do any negligency on this second path, because which is going to carry a maximum durations, and we need to finish that one within particular time. Okay, so like that, we need to prefer the critical path now, right? So moving on to the concept of this critical path, the method of planning and scheduling based on the network diagram, in which the total project time is determined by a sequence of activities, which is shown in critical path method. So this critical path method, which is dependent upon the number of activities and the durations. And here the CPM networks are more useful for repetitive types of projects, or for the projects for which fairly accurate estimation of time for the completion of each activity can be made, and cost estimation can be made with a fair degree of accuracy, which is nothing but what? This one, it can be preferred with the repetitive types of projects, because we'll be knowing that the start date and end date of the each activities, I mean the total time durations consumed by the each activity, and even we will be knowing the sequence, which activities we need to start first and which activity we need to start next. And when we'll be knowing the thorough sequence of these activities, easily we can be monitored, and this CPM will be helps out in such concepts, such as where we will get the repetitive works. And however, it is not suitable for research and development projects. So if you want to go for a new projects and all, so that time which is very difficult to adopt, because we'll not be knowing that one particular activities, how much durations it is going to consume, and how much resources which is going to consume. So that time it feels very difficult to monitor for the new type of project works. And so here it can be applied usefully for the following types of projects, such as building new bridges, because the sequence in the construction of bridges will be same, and sorry, So there the activities of from the start to end will be similar, so that easily we can adopt these types of the techniques there. And next, construction of multi-storied building. So here also the sequence and the number of activities will be similar. That is again, that differs with the number of stories, but the sequence will be remain same. That is construction of foundation till the handing over that entire project to the client. So whatever the activities will be there, it will be similar in all the projects. And the extension of factory building, manufacture of new automobiles, repairs of locomotives. Locomotives are nothing but this train tracks and all. Okay, and shifting a manufacturing unit to the new site. So here the activities are similar, and even the activities sequence is also similar. So easily we can prefer this CPM method, and we'll be finding out the total maximum durations. And here, which is most important, that is steps in critical path scheduling. Okay, so here, before finding out okay, sorry for the inconvenience. So before starting out this critical path scheduling, first we need to note down those all activities, whatever it will comes in the project work, right? So that is prepare a list of activities of the project. And now after preparing the number of activities or the set of activities, we need to provide certain durations for those activities, right? So here we need to find out we need to estimate the time durations for each activities, and then determine the sequence in which activity or activities should follow or precedes the other activities. So here precedes and succeeds, those words are a bit new to you, but I will tell you what are those precedes activities and succeed activities. Okay, so we'll be studying that one in depth, but for today's purpose I will tell you one example. So here in this diagram, can anyone see this diagram now? It's visible, right? Can anyone please?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So this is one network diagram now. So this 0 to 1, it can be represented as activity G. Clear? You can see this part. This is activity G, and 1 to 8, this is represented as activity H. Clear? So now I will take the direct activities, that is I can call it as a G. So that time you should come to know that it is from 0 to 1. Okay. So here this one we can prefer as nodes, that is whatever the 0 and whatever the 1 are there. So this one we can call it as node. Okay. And 2 nodes, it can make one activity here. So this is also one node, and this is also one more node. So that 2 nodes, it forms one activity. Okay, so now I can prefer this activities only. I can call it as G, H, and here which is E, and then D, A, I, J, B, C, F, K. So now what we have done, so before finding out these all activities, we need to note down these all activities. So how many activities will come, right? So here from A to K will be having different activities. So that is the first part. And second step, we need to give certain durations for that. Such as for G activity, we have given 14, and for A activity, it is 14, and then for B activity, which is 5, and C activity, again 5, and then D activity, 10. So like that, for each and every activities, we are giving certain durations. Depends upon that type of the work. Okay, and that is the second step. And third step is, once we fixed the different types of activities and the durations for that, now we need to provide the dependency between those activities, right? So here you can see activity A, for that the next activity is H. Clear? Can you see this? For A activity, by considering this particular path, for A activity, the next activity is H activity, right? So now what I can say, G activity, sorry, it's not A activity. This is for G activity, H activity is the predecessor activity. Clear? And for H activity, G is the, sorry, for G activity, H is the successor activities, and similarly for H activity, G is the predecessor activity. Understood now? Predecessor in the sense that furthermost activity, sorry, predecessor in the that previous activity, and successor activities in the sense that activities which should start by completing the previous activity. So now H activity is the successor activity for G activity. Clear? And similarly, for E activity, which one is the successor activity now? Can anyone tell from the network diagram?
Yep.
Yes. For E activity, F is the successor activities. And similarly, for D activity, what is the predecessor activity? For D activity, which one is the predecessor activity?
A.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Now you understood about predecessor and successor. And one more question I will ask. For E activity, which are the predecessor activities?
D, B, C.
Very good. Here there are three activities, because for this E activity E activity has to start by finishing these three, right? So for E activity there are three predecessor activities, and similarly for other parts of the activities also you can consider with the same example. That is, for B activity, I is the predecessor activity and E is the successor activity. Clear? You understood about the predecessor and successor? We'll be studying in depth when we are studying about the different types of activities, but just you understand by studying the different steps in critical path. First, what we have done? First, we have noted down the number of activities and we have given the durations for that. And now we need to alter those activities with respect to a successor and predecessors. Depends upon that type of the work. So you can take one example, that is a construction of brickwork, right? So, so for construction of brickwork, what we are going to do? That construction of a brickwork is the main activity, and again you'll be having certain sub activities there, such as construction of DPC there, and then after that the construction of 1 meter of brickwork with respect to different types of bonds there, and then again we are going to put the concrete bed there, and again next we are preferring the next 1 meter layer, right? So here you are going to divide one main activity into the number of activities, and you can consider one more example, that is construction of foundation. So here it starts with the first activity to the next. For example, in the construction of foundation part, excavation is the first activity, and then reinforcement is the second activity, and third one is form work, right? So for form work, the predecessor activity is what? Reinforcement. And similarly for reinforcement, the predecessor activity will be the excavation, right? So like that, you can prefer that one in a real life also, correct? And here, the third step is we are going to prefer the predecessor and successor activities and draw a properly interconnected diagram with activity or activities and events. So in properly interconnected diagram, in the sense whatever we have drawn, this one from 0 to 8, from 0 node to node 8. So this one we need to draw it properly such that it should be closed diagram. It's not like one more activity will come here like with a node 9. Okay. So this is not a proper network diagram, because that network diagram, it should be closed one. So it should be having only one start activity and one end activity. That is, it should be within two nodes. Sorry. So now we need to arrange it properly with the interconnectivity between one activity to the other activity. Okay. And next, assign the number to the events. So events are nothing but whatever we have given the node from 0 to 1. So that 0 to 1, we can call it as one event, right? So like that, we can give the numbers also. And prepare a tabular columns which shows the activity durations, such as earliest start, earliest finish, latest start, latest finish, and total float of each activity. And we'll be telling this particular path, that is, this one is like having much importance for your subject. So we'll study in depth about these different time estimates. And then after providing this, we need to find out this critical path. That is, this is actually the maximum completion time of the project, and there may be various sequence of activities leading the initial event to the final event. This is maximum, just to make it correction. And then these activities can be classified on the basis of degree of float as under. Float is nothing but the time duration, the time gap between the one path to the other path. In the previous time, we have seen one path which has considered 35 days, and one more path, it is 83 days. I mean, the time gap between one path to the other path. Similarly, it is going to apply for other activities also. That is, one path and other path, how many durations it is going to consume, and whatever the gap will be obtained from one activity to the other activity, we can call it as float. Okay. And rules of critical path method we'll be studying in next class. Okay, till now, is there any doubt, students? Is there any doubt?
No, sir.
Yes. You can give your attendance in the chat box, and you can disconnect the call. Rohan Kattimani, from next time onwards, write your name as well as your USN. Okay, now this time it's fine. Yes, Sanjita, you can give your attendance and you can disconnect the call.